reflecting, Dennis brought up a lot of memories to me. I want to take this back to when I first started. I moved here from Virginia specifically to learn Jeet Kune. And I've been looking for it actually all my life. I bought videos, magazines, books, and I'd gotten a hold of Tim Tackett's book, the textbook, and it had his address and phone number on the inside. And very excited, back in 1990, I got to roll in the first night to a Wednesday night class, and there was an older gentleman, according to me at the time, I was 18, standing there with sort of a cap on and just looking at the pictures, and I'm thinking, boy, that's not Tim Tackett, he must take pretty old students. And it was Bob Bremer, and he started talking to me. He didn't tell me who he was, what his connection was, but he was so kind and nice, and we started talking about Bruce Lee. Well, maybe the biggest Bruce Lee fan there is, I had to start correcting his stories a little bit. Well, actually, this is what happened, and I started not knowing that he was not only that he had known Bruce Lee, but that he was friends, had been friends with him. And that became a running joke for years. I would remind Bob the first time I met him and how I'd given him all the stories about Bruce Lee and how Bruce Lee trained and how the classes went, and he just sat there nodding his head and would say, "Is that right?" And he never, somebody came up to me in the middle of that class and said, "You know who that is?" I'm like, "No. That's the ass kicker of Chinatown." Like, okay. But just like Dennis was saying, we met. He was such a good person, and at first, when you show up to a class, you notice that what they have to offer in Jeet Kune, and the evolution that our class took, I think, from then, we had a lot of great instructors, a lot of good information. Bob had this unique ability to hone everything that we were practicing to a very sharp edge, talking about simplicity, about what he called taking your next shot, and not just doing something for the sake of doing it. And I became good friends with Bob Bremer for over the years, and he made a big impact on my life. When my oldest daughter, who's now 18, was about 2 years old, we went to visit Sharon and Bob, and my wife to this day remembers how Bob would sit there with the toothpick in his mouth, and next thing you know, we turned around, my 2-year-old's got the toothpick in their mouth, and they were laughing back and forth. But Bob has made an impact on us in such a great way that he will never be replaced, but I think that every one of us will take what we learned from him on the personal level, his ability to look at things that are very serious, like defending yourself, and put not necessarily a comical, but a lighthearted spin on it. And he would quote Bruce and say, play seriously, and we would always kind of keep that in mind when we were training, and people that would come from other schools would say, wow, you guys I've never seen a place like this. You guys are all kind of laughing and relaxed, but yet we produce the kind of fighters that I think Bob was proud of. And when we were interviewing him for a Black Belt magazine, we asked, what has been your goal when it came to Jeet Kune? And he said, my goal is to try to make sure that the rest of the world sees what Bruce Lee had to offer. There's a lot of good stuff out there, there's a lot of good things, but a lot of what he showed us was getting wiped under the table. And so Lewis Broad was there with us, and Dennis, and Dennis taught had a school open, and really we would have a major focus on what Bob Bremer was showing that particular week, or what he's shown in the past month. And so I think as we move on in the future, not one of us that has spent any amount of time with Bob and has been close to him will ever lose that influence, and hopefully we'll pass his influence on to our students for generations to come. Thank you.